Hello, I'm Justin, and this is Talk Junkie. Today is one of those episodes where it's really just a chance for me to kind of talk about something, that I've been thinking about, and then get like a response back from you guys. It's no big heavy topic or anything. It's just something kind of fun. You'll notice that when you listen to this, you were able to listen to it when you wanted, the time frame you wanted. And your access to it wasn't limited in any way, really. From the point that this gets posted and is available, considering that it never gets taken down, unless something happens, your access to it is unlimited. There's no parameters on, I have to listen to this at Monday night at 9 o'clock. In a lot of respects, that doesn't really exist for many things anymore. I mean, if we think about it, you basically have unlimited access to entertainment, especially television programming, and that's a very, very new thing. And I was born in '82, so definitely anybody my age remembers that for the majority, well, it feels like the majority of your life. I guess it is up to this point. It's been the majority of your life. But you look at anybody born in 2000. If they lived in an area where TiVo was bigger, to a certain degree, that experience may have never really encompassed any large portion of their life. I mean, you take people who could, obviously you could record shows with a VCR and things of that nature when we were younger. But it would have been hard to sit down and watch a whole season of a series in one night. I mean, you'd have to record it for months, recording every week or bi-weekly, however the episodes came. And then sitting down and watching them tape by tape all in one night. It would be hard. Plus, you're getting commercials, you're getting them all these things, unless it was something on HBO or something to that, in that vein. But other than that, the experience is totally different. And on that note, like, I don't see TV commercials at all anymore. I'm getting ready to do something like a month cleanse where I'm not going to see any advertising at all, basically, for a month. But think about it in comparison, especially, again, people probably 2000 and back. I don't know how many younger people I've got listening. Probably not any. But if you think from 2000 back, especially 90s and 80s, I mean, obviously, you get back into 70s and 60s, this is even more true. But if I missed an episode of The X-Files, because I do believe in its run, there were 2 episodes that I did not see until the series was available on DVD. I know, I believe, well, actually I know, I have copies of it, that certain episodes, I don't know if it was a full collection or how that went, but episodes of it were available on VHS, but I didn't have those. I went and bought the first season on DVD because there were a couple episodes that I had missed. But that's not true. That's not the first time I've seen those. The first time, because I didn't buy that first season until recently. I guess the first time I saw those was when I would binge watch it every so often on a streaming network. But still, it's years later before I ever seen those episodes because I missed them. And at that time, without recording it, I didn't have a TiVo or DVR. It was, I had to be there that night at that time to catch that episode. And with the exception of reruns, and that was usually older shows, much older shows that were in syndication, there wasn't the opportunity to do it. And even then, I never was a TV Guide person. Like, I didn't sit down and read TV Guide. The only thing I was really recording, especially at a young age when I first got the VCR and was able to record things, were really wrestling. Any show on any of the religious channels about bad music you shouldn't listen to, musical performances, music videos, billiards tournaments. For whatever reason, I was obsessed with billiards tournaments, and anything paranormal or UFO based. Movies, I would record a lot of movies, but I done that. Movies were never appointment viewing for me. I was a big fan of the movie store, so and when things would come on TV, like I did record Enter the Dragon off TV. I remember that. I remember the day. It had snowed. I want to say it was a Sunday. There was a lot of snow outside. We weren't going to school the next day. I was at my grandfather's house, sitting in the floor. He had a floor model TV. The VCR hooked up to it. I recorded it off NBC, I believe. I can remember some of the commercials that was on it. I recorded it that evening. It was like evening movie, afternoon movie, something like that. I recorded it that day into that evening, and then watched it 2 more times. Stayed up all night and watched it 2 more times, and watched some other stuff that night. But again, that was an appointment viewing, because I easily could have went and rented that movie. It's just a movie I was very fond of, and one of the few I didn't have at the time on VHS. And it was very early before I really started collecting VHS, before we could really afford to collect VHS. But with television, it was always very important to not miss these events, because you weren't guaranteed to see most things again. Probably 90% of things. Yeah, I mean, any episode of Scooby-Doo you were going to see again. Probably any episode of Three's Company you were going to see again. Any episode of I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched you were going to see again. It was the newer things, the things that were fresh, that you didn't know when or if ever you would see them again. And without the change that we had in television, mostly I don't believe that would happen. Now, the first big revolution to me was the DVR. Getting that DVR. My grandfather got this pallet of stuff. It had some web TV things. That's what they were called. It was a keyboard and a little box. You hooked it to your internet, and you hooked it to your TV, and it made your TV into a computer. Was the big claim, And then there was TiVos. He found some TiVos. We had issue for whatever reason getting those TiVos to work. I did, however, find one that evidently was a return or something of that nature that still had some stuff saved on it, the best I can remember, maybe news and things like that from California, things of that nature. But I was much older. I was, married and living at home before I got my first DVR, I believe, through DirecTV was the first one. And I ended up using Dish Networks. But at that point, when I got that DVR, I realized a couple things about how my brain worked. And I think this is probably true for a lot of people. I've never watched tons of TV shows. In regards to mainstream TV shows or newer TV shows, I could probably come close. I watched the first 4 seasons of The Walking Dead. I watched Lost years after it was off TV. I watched X-Files religiously. I watched the British Office. I know I'm leaving some stuff out, but there's other stuff like Blacklist I've watched here and there. But that's really it. Like, I really believe 5 to 10 shows, maybe, and that's if you don't go back past the X-Files. Everything when I was younger, MacGyver, which got a lot of replay on USA, the A-Team, things of that nature. There were things like that, but as far as shows that were not in syndication and not being replayed, because I did watch a lot of NCIS. It's only one of those types of shows I ever watched. I didn't like Law and Order or anything of that nature, or NCIS or any of that. It just or not NCIS, the other one, whichever one the police one is. I like the naval one with Gibbs, but it was in repeats and reruns and syndication. By the time I started watching it, it basically was the USA Network. They didn't have anything else. But as a young person, there's three things that have changed that this come about because I seen TV for the first time months back when staying with my mother-in-law and father-in-law. It was Dish Network, I believe, and literally we've not had that, and we don't currently in our home. We've not had a satellite system or a cable system in our home in, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. We just don't use it. Since being in our new home that we're currently in, my wife and I have not sat down and watched TV in the living room at all that I know of in the 3 or 4 weeks we've been there. In the bedroom, in the evenings, I'll watch usually some documentary stuff or something like that. Helps me go to sleep. And she'll watch her show, I'm sure, during the day. She's got a couple shows she watches. She'll watch them in there. But TV's not a big thing in our house. YouTube's big for my son. My daughter's not home very often. She doesn't live with us any longer. So when she's in, she'll watch stuff because, TV's somewhat on her radar. But TV, something I loved tremendously as a kid, has, for all intents and purposes, kind of faded out of my life. But three things that were big about TV when I was younger, or three things that stand out to me, in a memory, is that needing to catch a show when it's on. The commercials, the amount of commercials, the ability to watch the commercials and not mind seeing the commercials. It didn't affect me negatively or adversely that the commercials were on. I didn't get irritated or anything of that nature. They were just there, and some of them were extremely entertaining, and some of them were very big parts of pop culture, and then, to me, from my memory base, the diversity of TV, the diversity of what was on channel to channel, but not just that, the diversity of what was on each channel. The USA Network, for example, I did a whole episode. If you've not heard it, go back and listen to that episode on the USA Network. What they had on was amazing. The amount of variety. Same thing for, say, Nickelodeon, or at least it felt that way. It just, I don't know. Sure, you had daily programming, like you had your Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie daily deal when you were off school and your Price is Right and all that, but it wasn't a 8-hour block of Price is Right, and it wasn't an 8-hour block of I Dream of Jeannie. It was, it was multiple shows back to back, Perry Mason, whatever it was. And then it really felt to me that on weekend nights and specifically Sundays, there were a lot of movies and made-for-TV movies and big, blockbuster movies and things of that nature being shown, Disney movies, and it was a different viewing experience. Upon looking at TV now, the ads are obviously still there. I'm extremely impatient with those ads. I don't want to sit through them. I don't want to see them. I'm not entertained by them. I just want them gone, because if I am sitting down like that, again, very few times I do it. If I'm sitting down to watch TV like that, that's a rare occasion. Any other time, I'm taking that entertainment in a different form, and I'm not seeing advertisements and things of that nature. So it's an odd thing. It's an odd feeling. It's an odd feeling when I watch YouTube and an ad pops up in the middle of a video. I shouldn't look at it as a bad thing, because it's a way for these content providers to generate and create income, and so I'm not necessarily complaining about it. I've not listened to one of these podcasts in a long time, but I know that there's advertisements quite often at the beginning of my podcast, and at the end, I believe, but I don't believe it's ever in the middle. We never sit down and work, unless I'm doing an ad. I'm advertising for a bookstore or something of that nature. But the advertising, the feeling of the advertising, and to me, the look of the advertising has drastically changed. I will still get on YouTube with my son and look at old retro commercials from when I was younger and look at them fondly. And my son will watch them. Currently he's obsessed with old Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Pebbles commercials because he's been drawing a lot of Fred Flintstone lately. So that feeling of it is very different. But the feeling of urgency to watch something. One show my wife and I used to like was this show called Destination Unknown with this gentleman named Josh Gates, I believe. And he's had a couple different shows that are kind of in that same vein, or at least two. And I don't remember which show this was, but one of these might be, I don't know. One of them he looks for monsters, one of them and stuff like that. One of them, or mythical creatures, I guess. And one of them it's kind of a history thing. And either way, an episode of one of those were coming on a few months back, and we were at my mother-in-law and father-in-law's, and we were going to miss it. And for just a second, that urgency of, well, man, what can we do to watch this was there. And then I was like, well, we can just stream it. We don't, the panic lasted 5 seconds, and we were both like, we can stream it, we can watch it later. That's resulted in a couple different things for me. One, I don't watch nearly as much TV, and I don't feel obligated to wait for something, and I can still get excited about something. I was excited about the Jordan documentary, the Flair 30 for 30. There's things I can get excited about, but I don't have the urgency to watch them immediately. I feel like, okay, if I've got to wait, there's some things I feel like I need to watch right then and I have to watch. But that's not always the case. And usually I'll wait for two reasons. One, to get it free. Not really to get it free, but get it on a service I'm already paying for. And two, to get it to where I can binge watch it and go on with it. So the desire for just instant access is overwhelming. And that takes away this willingness to be pressured into viewing things at that moment. And for people like myself, and I think that's a lot of people, it's kind of done away with any hope at all of appointment viewing. Obviously, sporting events are always going to be that way for people who are huge sporting fans. I no longer, again, I'm a creature of habit, I guess. The guys I like to watch race don't race motocross, and they've taken those races off TV, and it would cost me actually quite a bit of money just to watch those races. I would watch them every day if not for that, so I'll wait and watch them days, sometimes weeks after, because I can get them free, and it's not something I'm following like crazy. I don't watch basketball, baseball, or football. The game of basketball had to evolve, obviously, and it did, and it didn't evolve into a way that entertains me. I no longer watch the UFC, really. So there's not a lot of appointment sporting events that I need to see, The biggest thing for me in high school was probably wrestling. To not miss wrestling on Mondays, for a while Wednesday, Thursdays, and Sundays. It was a big deal because everybody was going to talk about it at school the next day, and I wanted to see it. But I no longer watch wrestling now. But that is bad. If you've got somebody else that's watching a show that you're watching and they stay caught up and you don't, you have to hear, things about the show, then that can knock it off. But one of the biggest things about how entertainment, as far as television, has changed is that accessibility. It is instant gratification, and it probably is bad, and there probably is a negative connotation to it somewhere, and I understand that, and I could see that, and I would be open to that input. One of the few things I've ever been told is that, well, it hurts content makers and really limits content makers that we can't put more of a value on shows and things like that. That's obviously not true. So much stuff can get made now and it has so many different places to go. and there's so many things being made at a much lower level, at a much more independent level. That's not necessarily lower. That's just as good, but independently. So that's not true. Technology has helped that. From everything that I can see, it's helped that. But I watch Netflix and I watch Amazon Prime, and I don't really. I don't have. I mean, I don't even know what's on the networks because, again, most of the show. USA Network is one show constantly. True TV, I believe, is actually. I think it's True. It's one of those that's literally just the Impractical Jokers channel. It's basically, 12 hours of Impractical Jokers, 8 hours of infomercials, and then insert whatever else here. But that's drastically different. And I don't know of things that are coming out. But binge watching has become a huge thing too, and I'm just as guilty of that as anybody else. I would like to have the willpower to say, I want to save an episode and watch one episode a week so that I can enjoy this. I don't have that kind of willpower at all. I actually, to the contrary, have found that I prefer to wait until multiple seasons of a show are on Netflix, even if I have to miss out on the show for 2 years, so that I can sit down and watch it episode by episode by episode. Now, everybody's brain works differently. Sometimes that leads to me getting extremely bored with the show because I'll watch a season and then, for whatever reason, it feels like forever before the new season's on. Like what it is, it's almost, I guess, 2 years. I don't know how that works, but it seems like a really long time before the season's on if it's on a network channel, something like Blacklist. And I just lose interest in it in between seasons, and I'll catch it back up, and I forget what's going on because I don't have a great memory. But other things that actually will keep me, sometimes it'll do the opposite and keep me interested, because if you're going to watch this big spurt of it, and okay, I've let it go for a while, and it's not like sitting down and watching 7 seasons back to back in a week, which I've done. Because that's how I experienced Lost. I experienced Lost episode after episode, season after season, continuously, and loved it. But it's not a show that I would have watched while it was on TV. There's too much to think about, too much to... I literally put a lot of thought, especially in the first couple seasons of Lost, trying to figure out things, and to me it was more fun than just that instant gratification of getting it back. And that's a change of a sign of how we've changed as people. We need that instant gratification. We need that instant reward system of, I need access now, I need access now. It's just who and what we are. I don't know. I don't know what you do about that. I don't know that can be changed. I don't know that it needs to be changed. In some areas of life, that's probably a good growth, and in other areas, it's going to be bad. It's just like anything else. It's as good as we make it, and it's as bad as we allow it to be. And it's best to just not get so worked up over, is this good for us or is this bad for us? You got a feeling. You can kind of feel it inside. There's times I know, okay, I'm watching too much. But on a psychological end of that instant gratification deal, maybe that's bad. But having that entertainment when you want it, and in my case, going from being a TV and movie junkie to being someone who only watches things when I have actual free time, and only watching things when I really want to watch them and being entertained, it is far better. I'm not watching a movie every day, because there was a time, long ago that, whether it be staying up way too late at night or watching it in a portable DVD player or watching it just broken up different points of the day, I easily watched a movie a day. And I don't know that that's a good thing for somebody like me, because I don't know. There's other things I need to do. But I also don't have to wade through as much junk. I noticed something in that time, and this isn't a day really, of sitting and looking at a TV with a satellite provider on it, of just channel surfing. And nothing was on. And watching things. And I don't know how long I did it at first, but I did realize at one point I sat down and I said, okay, it's 11 a.m. or 5 till 11 actually, I think it was. Let me find something to watch. By 11:30, new shows were coming on, and I was restarting on the time bar, where it's at on each channel, and I realized 35 minutes have went by. It felt like 5. I haven't watched anything for more than 5 minutes at a time, and there's nothing on I actually want to watch, but I feel like I need to sit down and find something to watch. And I don't do that with the way I take in entertainment and television now. And I feel much better about that. I don't even have to accidentally go buy CNN or Fox News. I don't have to see an infomercial at all. This will sound corny as it can be, but for people who really know me and know my level of obsession with Christmas, Christmas is probably, and Halloween, the 2 times a year that I really, really miss TV. But in fairness, I miss the television from when I was younger. I'd even like QVC and HSN's Christmas shows, where they're selling. I'm obsessed with Christmas. But I miss, an All Real Monsters marathon on Nickelodeon. I miss a Friday the 13th marathon on TNT. I do miss having a night and a time, and it's something we've never done as a family, and we've talked about numerous times, of sitting down and watching Rudolph on TV. I miss having a night, a day. I miss having a 24 hours of the Christmas Story. I miss those things. Those are nostalgia things, though. Those are things that I could easily reproduce on my own. Yet I don't. So, how many of you have made that change from traditional television viewing to this new digital medium? Because I've made a complete and total. I have Netflix, I have Amazon Prime. During basketball season, my wife gets Sling TV just during the season. That's the extent of my viewing. And YouTube. That really is the extent of my viewing. And I have a decent, not a huge, but a decent VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray collection. So, movie-wise, I can cover a lot of it from there. But my intake is drastically lower than it ever was. Maybe that would have happened regardless as I grew up. But, when my wife and I first got married and I was working 70, 80 hours a week, anytime they weren't home or I was home alone, I was watching TV. And I wasn't actually watching a show. I was flipping through channels waiting to find a show that I never found before I watched TV. And then end up watching TV for 2.5, 3 hours, find something, go sleep in the middle of it, and get up for work the next morning. So it's had a positive change for me. But I wonder if other people have taken it to the extreme, because my wife was very reluctant. I remember when we just ditched Dish Network, we were looking at a vacation home in Tennessee. And it's like, this is how much it's going to be a month. We need to do this. And I was like, how about this? We pay $120 a month for television that, in all honesty, we're really not using. And they're constantly upping the bill every time you turn around. And we really don't use it. I just went ahead and cut it off. By the time everybody realized it was cut off and mailed back, everyone also realized we didn't use it. We bought a Fire Stick. It's the first time I'd ever seen a Fire Stick, and we went from there. And we've never looked back. And I don't regret it at all. It's been one of the most convenient, best things we've ever done. Obviously, if the internet's out, you live in Eastern Kentucky, that happens a lot. Your television's out. We don't really use it enough to know. You understand? I mean, honestly, Netflix and Amazon makes, if there was some way for them to benefit from people not using their service at a time and if that was part of the metric of their system, they would be making a killing off us because we hardly use it. We really don't use it excessively. Hulu, we have tried with and without commercials. There's just not as many shows on Hulu that I want to watch. Most of the ones I really want to watch on Hulu, I can get other places. There are shows that you can't always stream. But I have found that if there's a show and it's $1 an episode, and I have to buy 4 episodes, or $2 an episode, and I have to buy 4 episodes a month, that's $8 a month. And that $8 a month, until that show is off the air, is cheaper than the $100 and some a month for a satellite bill. So, I don't know. It was an economic choice in the beginning, but I don't think I could go. I know I couldn't go back. If you gave us our local cable provider package and you gave us a satellite package tomorrow, myself, I couldn't go back. I have no desire. It feels foreign to me. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't feel entertaining. It just feels different, and I don't enjoy it. And that's odd for somebody that grew up a TV junkie. But where are you at in that process? And are any of you just holdouts, just absolutely still diehard TV people who you have a television provider, you have a cable provider, whatever it is, and you're just diehard and you need to be there? Because I know a lot of people are big on, and I could get news. There's CBS All Access for like $4 or $5 a month. Like there's other apps I could get on my Fire Stick that we've used over the years. There's a Boomerang app we use from time to time, especially near Christmas when they put on Christmas cartoons. But in the end, as satisfied as I am, every once in a while I'll think to myself, man, a show meant more and was more entertaining and more fulfilling when it was appointment viewing. And then I sat down and I really, really deep dive think about it. And a lot of that's just nostalgia. Because I can watch that same show anytime I want now, but I could set a time for myself. I could. Every year, we could sit down and wait for the Great Pumpkin. Or every year, we could sit down and wait for Frosty. And granted, we've done it and we've watched them. And when we had the DVR, when my son was younger, when he was first born, man, did we watch a lot of Frosty on that DVR. But every year, instead of doing that, we get excited and we sit down and watch it together. And it's instantaneous. And it's at the point in time that's most advantageous for us. I feel that it's good to set aside time for family and to do those types of things. I do feel that that's important. And I feel that if you can do that and it jives with this dedicated time that this network has put out to put the movie on, then that's okay. That's good. And I don't know. Every once in a while, there's something cool about sitting down, watching the television edit, not getting worked up because something's been taken out, seeing the commercials, relaxing, and doing that as a family. It can be fun. To me, if you were saying, all right, man, give me your ultimate entertainment app. And, I download, there's another thing I use on, there's a couple other things. I use a thing called Pluto TV. I use a lot of these different apps on my Fire Stick. And they kind of have like TV channels that have just stuff that I would be interested in. But to me, if I had unlimited access and I could sit down and I could say, make up a Saturday morning cartoon playlist that I could sit down and watch with my son on Saturday mornings, and I could make a Monday night playlist and a Tuesday and a Wednesday. If I had that ability to make that, and no matter what, that show was going to play at that time on that app, and I either watch it or miss it, I feel like I would probably watch a lot more shows. And if it had the vintage commercials and no other ads unless they were before or after a show, even the old look and feel I believe that's one of the few things that could get me back into nightly or weekly viewing of something. But I don't believe it would last very long. I believe I've evolved out past that, and it's just something that I think it was just a matter of convenience for me. It's easier and more convenient for me. But I don't know. So let's get to the questions of the week, and we'll answer these in email. And the email is talkjunkie@gmail.com. Let's look at where you're at. What's your position on this? What are you still doing? What are you not doing? Do you prefer entertainment as it is now? Are you still just a die-hard cable provider, satellite person? And, what would you go back if you were able? Because I can't say that I wouldn't if I got those shows back. That would only be good for me. Because, again, it's a nostalgia thing. And a lot of those shows aren't as good as you thought they were when you go back and rewatch them. And how long before I'm bored? And I'm probably not going to watch TV anyway. And I have instant access to almost all those things right now. It's a beautiful, brave, wonderful world we live in. I mean, the things we should be able to figure out, we can't. We figured out how to do TV better. I've had a great time with this one. I like these lighthearted, easier to do ones. They're definitely more entertaining for me. I hope they're more entertaining for you. Send in show ideas to talkjunkie@gmail.com. Don't get offended if I don't use it right off. I don't have a great memory, and to be honest with you, a lot of these just come to me, and I just do them on the fly when I'm on the road and have the opportunity, or if I'm sitting and got lunchtime or dead downtime, I do them. And you get kind of what you get. Some of them are serious, some of them aren't. The book, Creating Perfect Slaves. Holding a copy here in my hand. It's available right now. Only at the Red Spotted Newt in Hazard, Kentucky. Let's read you one out of it. This one's called VR. Can love, lust, hunger, and thirst be represented in ones and zeros? Can life be digital? The speed of light limits us, so we cannot outperform the programmer's limits. Are we simulated AI attempting to become real, slowly becoming self-aware? Are we the very programmers of our own existence? Our drive to create virtual realities is due to our desire to be gods instead of sheep. Are we just part of multiple realities, all used as a large-scale cause and effect data mine? What if our programmers made us so we could program a better reality for them? Where is the line between virtual and reality? Could read you another one, but why not? Let's just give it to you all for free. I'll read you this one too. I had a friend who recently went to a writer's retreat, and she read him one of my poems. This is the one she read. It's called Below Breaking Waves. She dreams in color, in sequence, in liquid stories. She feels in black and white, fragmented in glimpses. She loves in gray, in single frames and quick pacing. She swims in waters filled with blood and sharks, drowning in waves crashing above her. Fighting to rise above the water's surface, she sinks as her lungs fill. He dreams in real life, yearning for her. He feels in slow motion, searching for her. He loves in reverse, losing her. He dove down beneath the waves through the red waters, drowning below, waves crashing above him, fighting his way up, trying to breach the water's surface. He breathes in water to replace the air. They dream in color, with stories formed in love. They feel in warm and hopeful waves with quick glimpses. They love in soft touches. They drown in deep red waves, still holding on. Those are both from Creating the Perfect Slaves. Again, until August 1st, it is only available at the Red Spotted Newt. After August 1st, it's available on Amazon with Amazon Prime free shipping. But I still say the right thing to do is to get it from the Red Spotted Newt, support a local business, support a great friend of mine, and possibly the greatest bookstore in the world. And it would make me happier. Just going to be honest with you. If you're going to buy it, that's where I prefer you to buy it from. We're going to work with the Newt, and eventually it'll be on sale there. We'll work on price. We'll make it to where it's much more advantageous to get it from the Newt, because that's where you need to get it from. The other book, Cold Kingdom, is also available there. It's also available on Amazon. For Superheroes, available on Amazon. I believe they probably have a copy of Everyone's Different, Just Like Me, that I wrote with my son at the Red Spotted Newt. If they don't, you can get it on Amazon. This podcast needs to be viral. Downloads are getting higher. Emails are getting more and more frequent. All that's great. Share this on social media. I had someone send me a message and go, how do I tag you? That's not how it works. There's not a social media for the show. Let's not do it that way. Do it independently. Do it yourself. Because a project I'm getting ready to do for myself, for my own well-being, will prevent any of that from being possible anyway. So I've done it this far without any real significant social media impact. Let's see how much further we can go. Let's see what's the old game they used to play where they whisper something to somebody's ear and then pass, I don't remember, password, something like that. Let's see how far we can get this as a collective working individually. If you've told one of your friends about this show and you and your friend talk about this show, you and your friend post independently about the show and get it out there. Let's see what we can do. I like experiments in that nature. But I really, really appreciate the downloads, the input, the emails. There was a point last week or week before last, I couldn't even read all the emails in my free time that day in an evening. Which, it was like 25 emails, but that's a lot, and that's hard to read, and it's hard to go through. And I want to say of at least 18 of those were from people I don't know personally, that I've never met. I know for a fact I've never met 5 of you because you're from states that I've never been to. But it's exciting. It's exciting that people want to listen, and it's exciting to get that kind of interaction, and it's fun. And it's making me want to stay with Spreaker, even though the limitations are there for how I want to be able to do this and the method I want to use. But we'll talk about all that down the road. Don't suck, don't die, and be good to each other.